What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Malice Experience. I'm, of course, Mr. Malice. And with me, as always, is a particularly fresh-cut, good-looking mystic. You know, like, I mean, I'm jealous of the hair. I really am. Like, I wear a hat because, you know, my shit's falling out. So, you know, I got
Hairline's going back a little bit, but
Right. Well, I mean, you're also like what, 40 something?
something.
Yeah. And I'm 35 going on 36 and I have significantly less hair than you. So I got to live vicariously through you. I can't have a haircut like that. Can't do it. Anyway, hope everyone is well. Welcome to the show. So I figured we were going to have a guest this evening. We were going to have Scarlett was going to join us again, but we have to push that back because her and Nate had a prior engagement that they had to keep. So figured now is as good as time any to do kind of like a Q&A for the show, because generally speaking, you know, you guys, you know, we're sitting here, we're talking, you know, two people listening to other people speak, whatever. We don't really kind of dive too far, too in depth into you guys, the audience. I mean, we have our banter, we have our, you know, conversations, but we don't do that very often. So I figured it might be a really good idea to kind of actually have a conversation with you guys today. You know, any questions you guys might have for us individually or things surrounding us, things like that, and see if we can provide you with a satisfactory answer. But as always, before we get into the show, we are going to have Mystic here, you know, the weekly tarot deck and the weekly tarot read. You going to be reading off one of those new ones you got?
I don't know. I'm actually kind of excited about a whole bunch of different ones. And I really want to read off of the Goracle, but it is really not shareable. Should I do it? I
I
mean, it
think you
is
should.
art, and it's
Yeah,
artistically
it's artistic.
done.
Hello, Ziggy.
And it is your channel that's going to get banned, not mine. So that's good.
Yeah, of course. I would say
Yeah.
go for it. I would say go for it. It is being done for, you know, the artistic, you know,
Yes.
aspect of it.
So in
it
this
is
case,
art.
we will say are entertainment purposes, right?
Yes, definitely.
All right, so we are going to read from the Goracle. This is a deck that I never thought I wanted, and now I know that I always needed. Oh shit!
You're definitely a badass looking deck. I would say that much.
It is. Move dog. All right. It is definitely. It is a different deck. It is called the Goracle, the Dark Oracle by Chain Assembly. Now, just for the record, Chain Assembly is, if you go and search Chain Assembly, you'll find their website. Really cool graphic art kind of stuff. They're working on another deck. I think it's a second edition. And they are kind of like, you know, the adult games kind of genre. Yeah, it's very, very cool. You should check them out if you're an adult, because everybody in here is 18 or older, right? Yep, exactly. Thanks. And so this deck is nice. It is very well made. It is very thick and juicy. I love the back of the cards. This is probably my favorite back reversible card ever in existence. Like, it's just perfect. It is it's a thick gloss card. I would almost
It's
they call it
massive.
almost yeah, they're big. These are true oracle sized cards. So they're actually shuffleable and they're not too bad because they're flexible, but they're flexible, but they're very stiff. Hold
Gotta
on,
like
hold on.
stiff.
They're both flexible and quite stiff.
Okay.
But seriously, it's got some. I mean, imagery is great. It's not. It wouldn't have been my normal type uh of imagery to choose from, but and I opened the deck and I got it because I'm obsessed and I also am a hoarder. And my goal in life is to own pretty much every tarot deck that exists. But when I opened it and started looking at it, I was like, holy shit, this is nice. I'm going to show a couple of the lesser rated cards, and then we'll go. We're not doing that one. Um, I would. Uh, I do, Ben. Thank you. I do. I am. I do. So the thing is, I am not a trigger morningy person, but there is some stuff in these cards that probably could be triggery. So just be aware that if you don't want to see triggery stuff like total blood, gore, nudity, and very inappropriate things, if I pull a specific card that I am going to show them. So anyway, just be kind of wary. So this is one of the tamer cards, the collector. I guess you can assume what the collector's collecting in this particular card, considering none of the body parts are connected together. So very very specific. Um, well, this one's really rough. The Death Pact. I mean,
Juicy. You could tell Mystic
yeah.
is totally fucking uncomfortable showing this on stream.
I am completely uncomfortable showing these on stream, but I love these cards, and I'm not supposed to like them. The Puppeteer, like nightmares for real. Like, yeah, it just the one thing that's really interesting about it that I didn't expect is just how much the actual artistry of the drawings is just on point. Like, it's really pretty. Um, well, this I'm not doing the vulgar. Considering the vulgar sounds like the wet female body part, I'm not showing that card. If you want to figure out what it is, you can look that one up. The bound. Can you say the definition? We'll look at the card number 15 first of all, but second of all, the bound um, hmm, might be a little bit toxic. Skipping that one. Skipping that one.
Skipping.
Next. Oh, this one's kind of cool. I like the imagery in this one. The immolated.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Like, I am seriously considering one of these as a tattoo. I might have to like get some trademark rights or something because yeah, bro, can look up vulgar chain assembly goracle and then you will have the picture. All right, so there's a whole bunch more cards. This is a 50, I think 55 cards, or 52, something like that. So it's a little bit of a larger deck than some oracles, which I like. And then I like the ending, the last 5, 6 cards. You have the unknown.
That's cool.
Yeah, you got quite a few interesting body parts with some things in the middle. Yeah, the blood.
Which, of course, is blood. You know,
The bone,
bones.
of course, right? For those who aren't looking, right? Brain. I don't know why, but this one makes me want to laugh. Like, it just looks so cute. The heart and the lungs. Now, I have not read the book for this deck. I have no freaking fucking clue what's gonna happen when I try to pull some cards here.
I think Oracle cards are definitely like a deck that like you should use without checking the book. Definitely. Yeah. Like, I mean, tarot cards, okay, you know, generally speaking, like they all kind of follow a very similar kind of idea, if not identical, you know, across the board. But Oracle cards, I do personally believe that Oracle cards should definitely depend on you because that's all about the imagery. It's all about like what that reflection that you're picking up inside those cards. It's not so much to deal with like what the other person that made the cards thinks it should mean, but like what you're reflecting and seeing.
Yeah, the tarot is more about patterns. The oracle is more about feelings. That's how I've always felt when doing them, and that's why I'm a little bit afraid because I am a very visual person. I consider myself to be pretty intuitive in figuring things out. And then I mean, reading these, it's going to be like, oh, it looks like you're going to be murdered in about 27 days. Like, that's what I'm afraid of. because that's what it looks like when you read them. Now, if I get one of the vulgar cards, specifically the vulgar card, if it pulls up in the deck, I'm going to show it. Just you know, not going to throw it out there in the beginning.
Well, there you
Um,
go.
so let's see what positive energy the cards are going to lead us to today,
Or lack thereof.
or lack thereof. This is creepy.
Is this
All
your
right.
first time reading with it?
Yes. I mean, I was not planning on using them tonight at all. I had the ancestors and angels out. That was what we were going to read from tonight. So, turn of events has occurred. So my entire meditation was calming and peace, not like the whole connecting and drawing. Now we're switching from blue to red pretty quickly, but it is what it is. Okay, that one's oof, oof.
Oof.
Okay, I can
He's
share these. I can share these,
just like, oof, oof.
and I can read these too. So I mean, okay. I'm going to show the three cards. We have the blinded. That actually might be the tattoo I end up with because that is freaking crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
We have the sacrifice.
Okay.
That might be the one. And the poisoned.
Okay.
So for me, reading cards like these for the first time, most of what I'm going to kind of, I think, interpret from them because I'm not reading a person right now. I have nobody to initially to connect to except for whatever the message is, right? So the blinded is going to speak to the things that we use to blind ourselves. This particular individual um has sorry, I just there's another card that's next, and I already know which one it is. I'm going to pull it in a minute, but it's creeping me out. But the depiction of the I can't call it a gentleman. The head, the
Hey,
picture of the head with the iron nails in it. Right, these are long iron spikes. Iron is very what's the word? Symbolic, right? Of the basics, the base things that create other things, or the lowest form of what is truly a structure or a piercing structure. It's also used in a lot of wording. I don't know if they're 9 inch, but they certainly went pretty far into the eyeballs. So we're talking about the use of things that are around us, or the things that exist at the most basic level, to blind ourselves to what we need to actually see. So you use something like there's nothing light about a nail through the eye, right? The eye is a
yeah,
very
no.
sensitive. Yeah,
Yeah.
the eye is a very sensitive part of the body. Nails very sharp. But nail through the eye. It is not one of those types of cards or types of symbolisms that's confusing. It's very clear. You've blinded yourself using the things that are laying around you. You're not going to see what you need to see. You're not going to die in 27 days. Um, but you certainly need to take your eyes and use them to actually see the things that are right in front of you, because you're blinding yourself. The sacrifice. The one thing that oh, that's creepy. I have to show it again. The first thing that I think of when I see this card is who and what was the sacrifice and why, right? Whenever there's something about a sacrifice, there's a thousand things, a million things probably that we can sacrifice. We can sacrifice self. We can sacrifice our time. We can sacrifice the things that we own. We can sacrifice our own life. Or you sacrifice somebody else's stuff. But then is it really a sacrifice? If we're in, I don't know, I want to say Mayan times, in the times of the Aztecs, or back in the day when they were doing, or there was a sacrifice,
Hmm.
um, who is it hurting to sacrifice Joe's daughter versus my daughter? Not a sacrifice. That's you reaping the benefit of somebody else giving a sacrifice, right? So to me, when I talk or think of sacrifice, the only thing that you can sacrifice is of your own. You can't sacrifice somebody else's something, because it's not a sacrifice. You're not giving something of value up to you. Now, Um, when we're looking at sacrifice as a um, uh, energy or as a process, especially in this case, we want to look at what we're giving away or what we're sacrificing, and it's not a good thing. This is telling us to whatever we're sacrificing, whatever we're giving away, we shouldn't be. It's ours. We should be keeping it. If you look at her face and how she's looking at it, my bet is she was the sacrifice in this card, and she turned it around. But what she did is she probably sacrificed a part of herself to for self-preservation, right? Then the poisoned, I'm gonna just spend some time with these cards. They're creeping me out. The poisoned, share that one again. A lot of times when we look at any of the tarot cards, um, the what would it be? The Ten of Swords, the Devil, self chains, the Tower, pretty much any of the swords. Actually, your challenges, your the things that are holding you up. You look at what things are poison, and poison by definition is something that can cause harm. You ingest poison, right? You
Mm.
Venom is something that's injected, poison is ingested, so you are taking in something that is bad for you, and it's going to create a negative outcome. So whatever you're taking in that's poisoning you, you need to let it go. It's probably whatever is driving the nails in your eyes, and you're letting it happen anyway because you're trying to sacrifice too much, you don't have anything left. That would be my guess. So for whoever that message is for out there, I hope you heard it, because uh, I don't want to use these again for a very long time. Actually, that's a lie. I'm going to be pulling them out tonight. The fourth card, the fourth card I'm not showing. The fourth card was vulgar, number 16, and it is not appropriate. Like it's you can't artistic this one away. So, um, yeah.
How
But
does
there we
that feed
go.
in? How does that feed
That
in
was the
though?
Goracle. Huh?
How does the fourth card feed in though?
You know, it's hard to even look at, but I mean, honestly, if you look at the depiction of the card, I'm the first thing that I think of is the Hanged Man from the tarot, and I think of failed perspective, because this to me looks like it was a choice. This was not somebody put in this place. Um, Nothing is binding the hands or the feet of this individual in this card. Um, Now there certainly is plenty of rope. Uh, there's plenty of rope.
Well, there
Um,
you go.
but the hands aren't bound in this card. The person is in this place of free will, and it's probably a level beyond bondage that's appropriate. So as far as coloring the rest of the read of, self blinding, sacrificing something that's not yours and stop poisoning yourself,
Hmm.
vulgar is basically, there's a difference between, you know being who you are and be like, well, I'm going to do whatever I want because this is who I am, and going so far overboard just for shock value that you kind of lose what the point was in the first place.
Hmm.
So it's no longer about that, uh, being who you are. It's vulgarity in its true sense. Because, when you define vulgar, it's distasteful things, but I mean, that's so subjective. Different people are going to say completely different things when it's vulgar. But if you get down to the base of this card, and let me tell you, it is truly vulgar. I can't imagine anything else that picture could depict but vulgarity. Um, but she's in that position herself.
Hmm.
So she's put herself there. She's being vulgar for the sake of it, and well, she's certainly dead in that particular
She's
picture.
certainly
She's
dead.
certainly no longer living. But whew, I
I
want to do a private read with those with somebody, like a full on. I have a special layout mat for this deck too. I
well,
forgot to share.
I actually asked you for a reading. You never gave it to me.
I
Weeks
know.
ago.
Yeah, and I actually messaged you a couple of times and said, "Did you want it in person or not?" And you said you wanted it in person. I said, "Okay, when?" And then you didn't talk to me for like 3 days. Yeah, I can use this deck if you want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, I'd prefer you probably to go for something that's
Probably
like,
not. Yeah.
yeah, probably
But dude,
not.
this deck is insane. I think this is one I'm going to have to read the book on, because I just want to know what the hell it says. As a matter of fact, let's see what it says for vulgar.
Keep doing that.
If we,
I'll be right back. I can still hear you.
yeah, I
Stepping off camera.
um, and just for the record, um, by no means do I feel completely comfortable with these cards. I've never read them before, before. I never, I've never read the Goracle before, and I really haven't read this style of a deck before that has that kind of imagery on it. So this is very different for me. Um, so the book says for the Vulgar card, take time to explore experiences that you would otherwise decline. Totally not what I got from the card. If you don't unexplore it, it may be more dangerous. Hmm, that's crazy. So, I guess, if you're against being freaky in the bedroom, maybe you should allow it. Hmm, maybe you should have a little fun in the bedroom. That's really creepy. Let's see. All the talking about ghosting. Um, so yeah, Malice did ask for a reading, a very specific, and I have a specific deck for that reading actually set aside. Um, it's difficult for me to do live readings in most cases. I like to do them in a video format and then send a private link because then I can do them like at the hotel when my internet sucks. Um, but I think it just got lost in the mix, I guess. But that was fucked up. Now, I feel like I need a palate cleanser, like something to clean
You need
off my vulgarity.
a palate cleanser.
This is going to be a very neat deck. I'll use it next week.
What the?
It's called the Mist. Leave me alone. Called the
Oh,
Mystical Medley,
uh-huh.
and it is a 1900s to 1930s style cartoon tarot deck, and it is really cool. I got a lot of new decks, man.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw like you dropped a few pictures in the Discord.
Yeah,
Um,
there's some good ones.
so
We'll see.
yeah. So I mean, I think the end of that reading though kind of felt like it was kind of like there's something to kind of dive into that though. So the whole
Yeah,
idea about the vulgarity card and shock value, doing things for shock value or pure shock value.
almost never a good idea.
Yeah. And I feel maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe it's just me. Maybe, I'm just kind of, in my own shit and misreading certain situations. But I kind of feel like there are moments in the occult community, in our community here. Not necessarily anybody here in the chat. I'm not calling anybody out, by the way. Like, we're not doing that. But I feel like some people try to use the occult to kind of create that perception of kind of like that shock value, right? That they try to use what it is that like what it is that we actually do as like leverage certain things, in their life to be more shocking. Are you picking up on what I'm putting down? Are you just going to look at me with a blank stare?
You putting your thing down, flipping it, and reversing it.
Damn.
It's
All
your
right.
primitive plan yet.
So I guess we just went there.
Your primitive plan yet.
I do. I feel like that there are probably. I
You're
feel
right.
like there's some people that are using the occult in such a way that they shouldn't be. To kind of push an agenda. Rather than
It's not even about
following
the
the
agenda,
path.
right? It's not even about the agenda. It's about the purpose of the agenda.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
And I think it's okay to have, there's gonna be ulterior motives. There's gonna be means to an end. Um, in many cases, but that shock value just for the sake of shock value does one of two things. It either takes your credibility away or it gives you alarm fatigue. So you're either gonna not be able to continue to have somebody paying attention, or you're going to stop paying attention altogether because you're so used to hearing the same thing over and over from so many different places and things. And it's just like, okay, we get it. It's great. Black magic. Fun. We're good. and you stop really giving it the value that it needs in order to have the conversation that needs to be had.
No, exactly, and I think the thing is like this idea of people using it to kind of push. It's kind of, I kind of agree with what Mystic said. It's kind of like it depends on kind of like what the agenda is, but I think I don't think that a spiritual path should have an agenda outside of what it is that you individually want for your own life. I don't think you should have an agenda for those around you. Right? Regardless.
That goes right along with the sacrifice, right?
Explain.
You can only sacrifice the sacrifice card on the Oracle, right? You can't sacrifice somebody else's time. You can use it and misuse it, but you can't sacrifice it because there's nothing that you're giving up in order to benefit from that. So an agenda in spirituality is like sacrificing somebody else's kid. Well, sure, we can sacrifice a baby to the god Janus of, the primordial ooze, but it's his kid. So I'm good. My kid's fine. That's not a sacrifice. Terrible example to use children. I don't, just because it makes a bigger impact when you're talking about sacrificing somebody else's something.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the agenda. If you have my agenda in spirituality is to, like we've talked many, many times before, is very simple. It's to be better today than I was yesterday. That's it. And I do want my life to be easier. I don't want things to be given to me. I want them to be easier. And that's my agenda. My agenda is just to try to be better today than I was yesterday. Be a little calmer, enjoy a little bit more life, a little bit more good things, and learn more and experience more. It has nothing to do with sacrificing somebody else's baby.
I would sure as hell hope not.
Or time, or agenda, because that agenda is not mine.
Yeah, I mean, and I know, like we always kind of try to find kind of like the positive light in things, and yes, you can have like a positive agenda for yourself, what you want to achieve for yourself. You can have your own agenda for yourself, and yes, I understand that we can talk about the positive light and the semantics of the word, but the fact of the matter is sitting here talking about agendas, I'm talking about the agendas that people have for other people, right? The things that when people come into the community, when they come in. So, sadly, whenever there is something that exists inside of a vacuum, and inside that vacuum, there doesn't seem to be any structure, there doesn't seem to be kind of any hierarchy, there are constantly people trying to fight for leadership, right? Constantly. It always happens. Look at Wicca. When I got into Wicca years and years and years ago, probably before some of you fuckers were even born. God damn, I'm fucking old. It hurts to say that.
Fuck you. Fuck you. I was in kindergarten when you were born.
Well, it's not that far off.
But I have all my hair.
Yeah, you do. Fuck you. That's what it's going to turn into. We're going to start insulting each other because of our ages. But when there's a vacuum, if you look at Wicca used to be kind of like, thank you, I appreciate that. Wicca used to be very free form. Wicca used to be about the individual practitioner and, yes, I understand. We're the same age for like the next 2 months. All right. But Wicca used to be very free-form, free-flowing, like the left-hand path. It used to be just about the individual. If you wanted to be a part of a coven, you wanted to be a part of a group, you could have been, right? There wasn't really a structure to it. Now, it's one of the most highly organized pagan religions on the planet. Like, it is literally like the pagan equivalent. At this junction, the closest thing in the pagan community that we have to Catholicism. Okay? Why is that? Because there was a vacuum and a bunch of people started fighting like cats and fucking dogs. Who knew more? Who did this? Who did that? Set up a few fucking orders, write a couple of books, and now it's completely political. It's no longer about the path. Now, for the individual, it might be, But once you start dealing with organizations and things like that, it's no longer about the path. It's about the rules, right? It's about the regulations. It's about what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do and what is correct and what isn't correct. And the biggest problem with that shit is that was the whole fucking reason that a lot of us got away from organized religion to begin with, because of them telling us what we can and can't do and what is correct and what isn't correct. And sadly, I feel that same pull today within the left-hand path. And it's one of the reasons why I have always publicly maintained my stance on saying that I don't want to be a leader, because I don't want to try to fill a gap that doesn't need to be filled. Right? There is no hole that requires me. Okay? Do I have an idea that I think many of you have thought about, just have not thought of how to implement? Yeah, fine. I've thought about how to actually implement that idea. Right? Instead of just thinking about it and talking about it. But one of the things that I've noticed is people taking the pursuit of knowledge, the pursuit of expanding oneself, and turning into fucking gatekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
And using that knowledge to sit there and say, well, I know more than you know, or to sit there and try to trip somebody up. Well, what do you think about this demon? Or what do you have you read this particular book by this particular author that came out 315 years ago at this date? Shut the fuck up. Who gives a shit? You read a cool book. Awesome. You want a cookie? Because that's what you'll get from me. You'll get a fucking cookie.
Hey, Rook, I want a cookie.
So
I really want a rum and coke.
So the thing is, it's just, I see people on this power pull trying to rip other people down, trying to build themselves up, and that's not what we need, right? And I'm starting to see that, you know. So for some reason, I'll give you even another example. In Mexico, years and years ago, right? Mexico was controlled probably by three primary families, right? Two of them were really, really big, right? So you had the Sinaloa cartel, which was run by Chapo Guzman,
Thank you.
right? And that would have been the north of the country, and then you would have, look, he's doing the whole, every time he grabs that dog, it's like fucking Simba all over again.
I hold her every day on the couch. Right?
So what happens is, okay, and in the south of the country, generally, if I'm not mistaken, it was Caro Quintero. He was the one that was running the south aspect of the country, right? So it's kind of broken up that then there's a third one in there somewhere else. Now, the moment that those guys dropped, right? El Chapo's in the United States, in prison. Caro Quintero, nobody knows who the fuck he is. It created a vacuum, right? And now everybody and their grandmother is trying to become like the next big thing, right? Now, what happens? So under those two people that were running everything within a reasonable mind, things were generally peaceful. Obviously, we're talking about a criminal organization, but things were generally peaceful. The moment that they dropped off, complete chaos fucking ensued, while everybody was trying to fight for that seat of power. Now, the reason I bring this up is because it almost seems like the moment that everyone is perceiving that co-editing is dropped from the map. Co-editing wasn't the leader of anything other than like his own little clique. Right? He had his own little clique. He had his own thing he was doing. But for some reason, most people in the occult community, for one reason or another, looked at co-editing like
The living God.
the fucking figurehead of the occult, or at least the left-hand path. Which, permit me to burst your fucking bubble, but he wasn't. Right? I was left-hand path significantly longer before I ever even knew co-editing even fucking existed. Right?
I thought it was a railway when I first heard the name.
There you go. So, but it almost,
just for the record.
but it almost feels like, and I'm not saying this is what is happening. I'm saying this is what it feels like to me. I feel this paradigm shift inside of the community because he's no longer around on YouTube. And people are trying to fill a gap. People understand something. The occult exists outside of YouTube, right? Now, there are wonderful people in the YouTube community inside of that subgenre of occult YouTube and education that are wonderful people to watch and wonderful people to absorb from, wonderful people to take from. And you know what, Death, that is, you know what, that's your thing, right? And if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. Lone wolf, go for it, knock yourself out, right? But even in and of itself is something that is irritating as fuck sometimes. Because what happens is you get people that have this ideology that, no, to be the left-hand path, you must be a lone wolf. It's like, who the fuck are you to tell me what it is that I should or shouldn't do?
You must be in a coven of 13 people to be a witch.
Right? You know, so it's like even being a lone wolf becomes gatekeepy, right? Because the moment you start seeing people that aren't a lone wolf, well, this is threatening my entire dynamic. It's like, dude, do your shit and leave everybody else the fuck alone. Like, I'm not saying you, Death. I'm just saying, like, in general, I've seen it happening, right? You know, so it's just it's
LOL just... pagans. That is like the statement of the year.
You know, so it's just one of those things that the biggest thing that I've been trying to do since I've come into the fold here on YouTube is try to create something that, you know, everyone can rely on for various different reasons, whether that be for research purposes, whether that be for someone to stand up for them, whether that be for someone to call out other people that are taking advantage of their position. For example, these false black magicians, these predators that use the left-hand path and they use magic in the community to try to find what they believe to be feeble-minded, weak-minded, invulnerable people to take advantage of, to try to provide them with something to hold on to and taking advantage of that 100%. That, you know, all of these things, right, are things that what I'm trying to build will stand against. How that logistically looks 100%, I will continue to tell you guys, I don't know. It is something that really hasn't been done, you know, overall on the scale that I want to do it at. And it's going to take trial and error, right? But understand very clearly that I'm not attempting to grab the reins here. There are no reins to grab, and that is how it should maintain. There should not be any reins to be grasping onto to try to, you know, control or turn or roll the community in one particular direction, right? It's not like that, and it shouldn't be like that. And for some reason, right now, specifically, the reason why I'm harping on this so much is because I really do feel that. I feel like there are several people, and I'm not going to throw out fucking names. I'm not going to. But I feel like there are several people, you know, that sadly, in my personal opinion, cannot see the full scope of what is actually happening inside of the community and actually looking at current situations as a way or an opportunity to capitalize, not like economically speaking or monetarily speaking, but to capitalize on the needs of people to create something without substance, to try to take control and create, well, for lack of a better term, something very similar to what Coetting was doing. A money trap. And I know a lot of people are going to fucking hate me for saying that, but that's what I feel like he was doing. I'm not saying he didn't know what he was doing. I'm not saying that he wasn't, you know, a black magician. I'm not saying he's not a powerful black magician or is or isn't. I don't know. But I also know marketing and I know sales. And
so did he.
Exactly. Right. And so, that, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I mean, that's a fucking money trap. That's what that is. Now, whether or not those books are of good substance, I don't know. I've never read them. I can't tell you if they are or they aren't. I can't tell you if they are worth $200. I think they're what some people are telling me some of those books are like $200 or some shit.
I have a set of the really expensive ones.
Do you? From Coetting?
Mm-hmm. In the cards. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Damn. How much did it cost you?
Well, I did not get leather bound, so it was only $199, I believe.
To $200.
Mm-hmm.
Was that for the whole set or per book?
It was just one book.
God damn.
Yeah, and I bought that when all this stuff was happening. It's like, okay, I just want to have it because, again, I'm a hoarder of that kind of stuff. I mean, I have walls and walls of books and stuff. So I wanted to kind of see, what all the hubbub was about.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get it. I mean, but that's just me. It's not my thing. But
So yeah, I mean,
very
I
pretty, very well done. Like it's gorgeous stuff.
I'm not saying it's not. I've never seen it. I've never seen it, so I can't say. I am not saying it's not worth $200.
It's not.
I don't know. There you go. He spent the money, so he can say whether it's worth it or not.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth what it is to people who think it's worth whatever it is, but you just have to, like, when I spent the money, I knew what it was. Like, I'm not part of that group, not doing that thing, not going with the process. I was buying it to say I have it and to be able to look through and be like, look, this is weird. Almost like the tarot decks. I don't read half of them.
Mystic isn't dumb. See, Mystic saw everything happening with the Coetting stuff, and he's like, I'm buying this shit before it's completely taken off of the market, so I can at least say, look, I got it.
Well, I can speak to it. I have not read it all the way through, so I wanted to be able to speak to some of the stuff and say, what is going on there. But when you look at anything, if you have somebody, and this is completely generic, not directed towards anybody, but if you have somebody who has something that is of value, and they are a person that wants to share that value, and that value is spiritual or meant to help the fellow man in the condition of humanity and where the world is, you're not going to sell it for $200. That's what you do when you're trying to make money.
Mm-hmm.
I have my tribe, the Joy, who is on the group. She has this amazing cookbook that is worth $200,
mm-hmm.
and she's giving people the recipes left and right because they're good food, good recipes, and they're important to the community.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do when you want to build spirituality. Nothing wrong with making money if that's what you do. Just be honest that that's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Say, I am a great, amazing black magician, and I want to make some money doing it. So this book is going to be really expensive because I spent some money on the leather. Okay, good. I don't want that version. I want the cheap one. You know what I mean?
Which is still $200.
Which is still $200.
I mean, look, and there's like, you know what, and that's the thing too. Like, so it's perceived value, right? So
grab it.
If you see that book and you believe in, for example, Coetting's teachings and things like that, and that is a book that speaks to you into what it is that you're doing in your practice, then that book will hold a value of $200 for you, or more. And you spending that $200 is, nothing for the knowledge and information that you're going to be getting out of it. I'm simply saying, like, I'm not faulting the guy for wanting to make a dime, like, whatever. Like, I don't care. I'm just saying that, he was a salesman, and he was good at it. He was good at selling. But anyway, we're not talking about Coetting. That wasn't the point. Coetting was an example. And the reason why I brought up Coetting was the whole idea is that for some reason, the moment he dropped off of YouTube, there's a bunch of people that for some reason are feeling like there's some type of fucking vacuum that needs to be filled. And I feel it needs to stop. I personally feel it needs to stop. So, yes, we run essentially a fucking talk show. This is what this is, right? This podcast is essentially a talk show, right? Most weeks we have a guest. Go ahead. What?
Where's my check?
Would be calling it a talk show automatically requires you to get paid?
Yes. Because talk shows get paid.
Not this one.
That was worth a shot.
Right? you know?
Uh, but
And
yes,
yeah, and I just, so primarily we're a talk show. So that's what we do. But obviously I also have my own opinions, right? I have my own ideas on a community that, you know, I look at, you know, even though I don't know any of you personally, I look at you guys as, you know, essentially, you know, family to a certain extent, because, you know, a lot of you guys are here every fucking week, right? And I appreciate that, like, more than you will ever fucking know. But because we're all a part of this community, you know, I don't want to see it rot. You know, I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see it falling apart. Yeah. And it's sad to me to see people acting in such a nonsensical manner. Like when it comes to these things, right? It's just the drama needs the drama needs to fucking stop. People's personal issues, people's personal issues need to stop going on blast. Okay, the people's personal issues have absolutely nothing to do with the occult, okay, or the education of the occult, and these manipulations of trying to squeeze it in through the lines to try to make it relevant need to stop. Because it's not. If you're going to be talking about somebody's personal issues, then talk about somebody's personal issues. Don't disguise it as being something occult related when it's not. And then fooling people and tricking people into believing or thinking that it is. That is wrong. That is deceitful. I disagree with it 100%. To anyone that does that, to anyone that, you know, is out there trying to use, you know, the occult to prey on people, you know. Well, it's kind of, see, Slim Lewis, like we usually use the term the black sheep of the family to kind of describe the outcast, but you kind of fell in with all the other black sheep. So I guess the only outcast in the entire group, at least this podcast, would be Mark 5 when he shows up, because I think he's the only one that isn't a black sheep.
and he is a black sheep in his own right within his stuff.
Exactly, right? So yeah, I mean that whole shit kind of gets fucking diluted too. But yeah, sure, why not? You can be the extra black sheep. We'll just paint the pink in your ears. So
He can be the ultraviolet sheep. How's that?
there you go. There you go. Ultraviolet.
Yeah.
So I just I don't want to see things falling apart. And see, I was talking to somebody very close to me the other day about these particular issues, right? Somebody that I care about very deeply. And they had pointed something out that while doing this, I guess I don't really notice, right? That in my attempt to try to squash all the drama in the community and try to get everybody to get along and stop bantering and fighting with each other, I inadvertently put myself in the middle of all the shit that's happening. And it's such a horrible position to be in, because this is a community that I care about greatly. I care about this community more than I can ever express with words. And so when I see things happening inside of this community, and I see turbulence, and I see things starting to kind of get torn, you know, to pieces, I want to try to hold it together. And sadly, even though like I have nothing to do with the situations at hand, I end up putting myself in the middle of that to try to stop it from happening. And I don't know if that's something that I can maintain long term, because it seems like once we squash one thing, something else pops up. So I don't know if that's realistic to try to do that. But I do care about this community enough that I can promise you that I will do everything that I can in my power to hold it together solidly as much as I can. I just don't like seeing the direction that it's going in a lot of places, and I do believe that with every fiber of my being, I do believe that communal practitioners, you know, lone wolves. I think all of us, not under practice, but under ideal, under principle, should work together. Not magically speaking, not ritualistically speaking. Your path is your own, and how you view that path. When I talk about bringing people together, I'm not talking about bringing you together under one demon or one god or one pantheon, or no, that's just dumb. But under an ideal, an idea that this community should be safe, not just from external threats, but also internal ones. We should feel safe. Everyone should feel safe here. Everyone should feel welcome here. Everyone should have an opportunity to learn. One of the reasons why we always we lose so many, young practitioners coming in that want to, begin learning is because of the gatekeeping, because of the bullying, because of making people feel like they're less because they do or don't know something, or they misunderstand a particular thing. That's not an inviting atmosphere. And our numbers are thin. And if we're constantly gatekeeping and bullying out anybody that's interested in coming into the fold, well, we're keeping those numbers thin. Like, to put it bluntly, whoever pissed in your Cheerios shouldn't be the reason why you're pissing in somebody else's. And I think that it's enough. It's honestly, it's enough. It's enough that we're doing this to ourselves. It's, I don't know, Mystic, your 2 cents.
Well, my 2 cents is really let's go back to the thought process and the idea behind all of this. Because I kind of see, a lot of people are looking at it like, who are you talking about? What is it? We're not following. We're talking about a principle and a general identification of what is happening, right? It's not that one person is doing one thing. Hell, I think at some point, probably both of us have done the same thing at some point, right? Because we're human beings, we're going to do those things, and we're going to have moments where I've gate kept before. I even not gatekeeping. I've done things that I probably shouldn't have done, and probably recently because I'm a freaking human being that screws stuff up. The point is, we're not talking about a person, and we don't need to be talking about a person. We need to be talking about the process, the system, the way things are, the environment. Um, and what's really leading into some of these issues. I think it is human. I don't want to say human nature because my whole opinion on human nature has recently changed through some studying, but it is common for human beings to want to fill in everything because we don't like when there's empty space. We don't like silence. We don't like when there is something that exists, and there's nothing there. The problem is there wasn't anything there before. The only reason that we are noticing it is because something was there and now it's gone. We are trying, or at least my opinion is at this point, at what we're talking about, gatekeeping and allowing people to come into whether it's left hand path or just general paganism or to be Wiccan or whatever it is. It is that if there is a space, it is okay for that space to not be filled. We do not have to fill it. And if there is a situation where something is wrong or somebody does something wrong, um, those things can be addressed independently or with friends or with group or with coven or tribe, addressing them in specific manners, as in filling in the void, is not necessary. Do we do it as human beings? Yes. I mean, daytime soap operas are a thing. Why? People like it. I mean, it's oh my god, what's gonna happen next? I want to know. There's this empty space. Oh, is they gonna get married? Are they gonna, yeah, is he cheating on her? Blah, blah, blah. It gives them something to do or something to fill in that time. But we're really talking about the whole just grandiose situation to me. It's about what are we doing in the environment that's allowing people to be a part of what we see in front of us. And it's not us that, we don't have a right to say somebody can or cannot be in the community or even what the community is. But once you're in the black sheep community or an alternative or an occult community, right? You do have some you have a new capability, you have a new power. And that new power is to allow other people to be welcome into it. And when they screw up, you have the power to help them potentially fix that or address that or, pull things back together. Um, so it's really about the whole space allowing things to be open and allowing things to be in. And I will say, Broken, um, I agree with you. I really haven't seen a lot of issues, discords towards these things on a lot of the standard channels on YouTube. But I have very recently on especially Facebook seen some very, very significant um, issues with people telling people that they can or can't do something a certain way. I actually accidentally, while doing some research on Janus, Janus, the Roman god of gates, doors, and all of the in betweens, in between the beginnings or the ending and the beginning. And I was doing research, and one of the things that I ended up clicking on was this pop up. It's like, uh, are you a man or a woman? And then you answer, and it tells you all about what you can and can't do as a magician. It's those kind of things too. And that was on somebody else's website who is a member in one of our groups. Um, and it just, they may not even know that's happening. But I addressed it with that person. We've already talked about it. I had that comment. So that's how you would handle it, right? You wouldn't want to blast it, but it's those things, and it's not. I don't like. To me, it's important that we're not talking. We shouldn't be talking about people. We've talked about this earlier, Malice. We need to stop talking about people that we have issues
Mm-hmm.
with and start talking about situations that we don't understand or that we need to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the message.
Yeah. Um, so it's definitely kind of something that kind of like yeah, Mystic and I kind of discussed that like right before we actually kind of came on here because we were talking about some particular issues, and we both agreed that we shouldn't be name dropping, right? And unless it's something particularly egregious, um, we shouldn't be name dropping. There is no benefit to the community by name dropping people and calling people out and saying this person did this and then this program that we've built here, this community we've built here becomes H3h3 essentially for left hand path drama is what this becomes, and it's not what this is. And the situations surrounding a person can be discussed without ever actually mentioning the person. We can discuss particular situations and circumstances and things that we're not comfortable with and things that we see that need to be changed. What is H3h3 is it's a channel dedicated to YouTube drama. That's literally what it is. It's a YouTube channel dedicated to all the drama that happens on YouTube between communities and creators and things like that. So every time you guys hear me mention H3H3, that's what I'm talking about. And I do not want this channel to become the H3H3 of the LHP.
How many times and how many right? How many times and how many people say like, ah, I just, whether it's a new friend or a new person or a new group, it's like I just don't do drama. And then you find out that that person, that's all they do is drama. The point is that person that's going to be doing that drama doesn't we don't take them down to. We say, hey, look, XYZ, XYZ. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about the situation. Because you can learn something from it. We all can. Are we all freaking human beings going to do that once in a while and really get into the drama? Of course we are. Of course. I do. I mean, at least I do. I know I do. You know, and I have to check myself, and I have to I was like, wait a minute, okay, well, you're doing exactly what you are saying you don't want to see other people do, and you need to check yourself, or somebody else checks me. I have, thankfully, I have friends around me that will tell me when I need to be checked. Rook won't because I'll probably beat his ass.
Fuck you.
Haha. Um, but seriously, like there's people around me that's like, okay, you're being stupid. Like I literally had somebody the other day say, call me stupid. Like not in a bad. Well, that does sound terrible, doesn't it? A friend
That's why I
literally
said it.
yeah. Yeah, like, are you being stupid? Seriously? Like, stop it, and gave me a reality check. And that's what we should be doing for each other. We should be giving each other reality checks. And you know what? If you give me a reality check and I do something very stupid and I deserve to be blacklisted from the group, and another terrible use of the term, but there it is. Then so be it.
So yeah, and I know the idea. I know for a lot of people, the idea and concept of talking about unification and bringing people together is a scary idea, especially with people that talk about being a lone wolf. But here's the thing: you being a lone wolf, you're still a lone wolf, right? You're still on your own. You're still on your own path. That doesn't change, right? But I would like to think that even the people that follow the path as such, as lone wolves, still have a moral compass, and inside that moral compass would like and appreciate to do good in a community that they are a part of, even as a lone wolf. Your practice is lone wolf. That's your path. We're not talking about your path.
You still have like I don't know how to explain it other than um I can practice and have practice in coven and private and personal, and sometimes I do rituals by myself, sometimes with Rook, sometimes with people, sometimes with neither, and sometimes in a hotel room by myself with a candle. My practice is my practice, and I am going to practice the way I want to practice, period. Whether that's lone wolf today with a group tomorrow, I'm going to practice how I want to practice, period. But it is nice to know that even though I have people, I would say arm's distance from me that I can touch if I need to, if I need that support, that are part of that net that is around me that I can use when I so choose to do so. And that's how I see the 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 difference between a mosaic painting and a watercolor, right? The water's colors swirling all together. The mosaic, every single piece stays separate, but the big picture is something completely different. But your part still has to be played your way. In a
Mhm.
mosaic, that mosaic tile that's blue is always going to be blue. That is your lone practice. That is what you do. That is always going to be exactly what you do. But that piece, in and of itself, in its own practice, on its own plane, is in a one spot. It's always going to be there. You are not changing your practice, but your space that you're holding for the rest of the mosaic and the rest of the picture is giving us a support net and a support process and a bigger picture. And that's
Mhm.
kind of how I see it in my head, is more of like the mosaic versus a painting. um and occult safety net is exactly what I was thinking in my head, but I don't know how to, like the net, like the webs overlap, or maybe
Mhm.
they're connected in touch, but
Mhm.
they don't go into each other's space. And you stay as a spider on your own net, and maybe you're the two webs beside you, spider net. Haha, that's cute. Maybe the two webs beside you, like those two spiders go back and forth because they're both, not the black widow that eats the husband or the male spider. Creepy. But maybe that's how it is. Maybe it's the web of weird, or word, however you
Oh, I,
pronounce
I,
it.
I like that. I like that. The web of weird.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good.
so it's just how it's spelled. It comes up in my head that way first. But they're all connected, and we all are. But that doesn't mean we have to do. It actually means we can't do the same thing, because if we were all doing the same thing, then the web would have holes in it, and or we couldn't connect because there'd be
Mm-hmm.
empty space.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. So so you guys are probably wondering, why is it that I keep outside of the fact that like this is just something that like is very quickly turning into what is probably going to end up being my life's work. Why I keep bringing this up outside of that fact, like this unification idea, and I keep bringing it up outside of like wanting it to actually happen, because I think it's the only way that we can protect ourselves. Like, forget about what other people think about us. It's the only way that we can protect ourselves. There is nothing in place to protect us. I mean, you know, everything is becoming political. Everything, like the largest satanic organization in, at least as far as I'm aware, in the United States and probably the world, the Satanic Temple, is at this particular junction nothing but politics at this point. And I agree with. I'm not saying what they're doing is bad. I mean, there's somebody has to do it, right? Somebody has to do what they're doing, but it's not about the faith. It's not about Satanism. It's about equality. It's about, acceptance is what TST is about at this particular junction, which is a beautiful thing. But it's not an organization that you can turn to and expect to be kept safe, or, taught in an open platform. What I'm trying to project here, what I'm trying to create, is something that it doesn't have a denomination. It doesn't have a path. It's created and dedicated and predicated towards the idea of protecting people in the occult community. Learning, exactly, Ben, to learn. Whatever that path might be inside of the occult that you want to learn, it's a central hub to bring people together to teach. There you go. Nate Bales, amazing person, an amazing black magician, and that is like kind of like the idea of what this organization is, what I'm trying to set up. And here's the thing, not everybody can do things for free, and that's fine. And I doubt, if you are going to be mentored by Nate Bales, please do not expect that to be free. Okay? That man puts a lot of work, time, and effort into his shit and deserves to be paid for that time and effort. Now, will we be creating other things? Maybe not as in depth, but to provide guidance? Yes, most definitely. Okay? And if you want to get into a more in-depth look at, for example, how Nate does things, then you know what? You're going to have to pay the man. So I want people to be able to have a place that they can go to, one, to learn about what's going on. What's my path? What am I not seeing? What is my path? So you can learn what your path is by looking at different paths. By having that available to you in one place that doesn't discriminate on what path you're interested in. That has that open kind of knowledge base for you to search and people to talk to that are either experts in or familiar with the path that you want to go into and the things that you want to do. And also a place that you can go to, that you can turn to if you feel threatened inside of the community.
There is, and this had a huge impact on me as probably, I guess, a young adult in my 20s, between 20 and 30. You know, being gay and dealing with that in a not very constructive way. One of the things that has gone on and is still going on is people who have, and I know this, it makes me mad that this is considered a political thing in some ways, but it is. But they would wear a safety pin, a specific colored, a little pin, lapel pin, and or a sticker, and of a blue safety pin. And that safety pin meant that that individual was somebody that would listen to you and not judge you should you need some support for any reason. And so this would be on some schools, it'd be on people's homes, it would be on, like, some insurance agencies would put this up, some nursing homes would put this in their front window. And it just meant that if somebody has an issue or needs safe space, or if a child, there's another symbol for children, feels uncomfortable, that there is an adult in this location that is certified by an organization to support you and get you to the right person in safety. Now,
I
granted,
like
there's
that
obvious
idea.
people that will, yeah, people will abuse that, and did and still do, but there's an organization behind it that can help identify and vet the process of having those people trained to offer specific assistance for suicide, mental health, LGBT issues or other things. It seems to me like that would be something that would be very beneficial. For example, a specific symbol of somebody who is a member of a group, and that the only requirement is that group says, no matter what, this person comes to you and says, I am a person of an occult, and I am scared something is happening, or I need to learn something and I can't tell anybody, that their privacy will be respected and that they'll be connected with people who can help them figure out what to do next.
Yeah,
That's the unification I think we're talking about.
that is exactly what we're talking about.
I don't know why it took me that long, a year and a half to come up with into my brain. That's exactly, like, I'm just picturing, like, that process. And that was something to me that I never used, but knowing that it existed gave me comfort that I could do that for somebody. I could be that person. I don't understand transgendered people. I don't understand it because I'm not. But I
Hmm.
certainly can empathize and be a safe haven for somebody to come to and connect them with somebody who does and
Hmm.
support them and be a safe place. I don't have to know it or understand it. Like, I don't have to know left hand path to know that if somebody comes and says that something's happened or they need to learn something, that I can connect them with the right person as part of a group. That's the unification.
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Right. And I mean, let's be honest. Like finding somebody to mentor you or to help you, guide you in the left hand path is significantly more difficult than it is Wicca or other subsects of paganism. Because at this junction, Wicca is fucking all over the goddamn place. You throw a stone, you're gonna hit somebody in the fucking head that practices it. Um, left hand path, not so much. Right? What the fuck
Grand,
is that? That face.
Grandpa's getting old.
Holy shit, that face, man. Um, that was good.
I'm cross-legged, and I'm cross-legged in my chair, and Ma Petite, the Chihuahua, is laying so comfortably, but my legs are falling asleep and they're aching, and I want to move and I can't, so I'm having to divert that energy. I don't want to move her. She's so cute.
So that's the idea, is to create essentially kind of like a network that people can rely on, right? Within the occult community in general, right? Like there will be, aspects, pointing towards Wicca. There will be aspects pointing towards, hedge witchery and things of that nature. But there will be a focus on the left hand path. that will be a focus. Whether that be theistic Satanism, Luciferianism, the left-hand path in general, working with the Ars Goetia, any number of these these particular things are all going to be incorporated, and it's going to be a safe place. So I hope my talking about this tonight, I hope my bringing focus on this helps everyone understand what it is that I am trying to do. I don't want you to follow me. That's the last thing I want. But I do want to make this place, this community that we have, be more connected and be a safe place for everyone, where people can come in and say, this is something that I want to do. This is something that I want to learn. But, my family's super Catholic, and, if I start doing this, they're going to just beat the shit out of me. Can you help me? Yeah, definitely. That's the idea. So, I see Mystic, though he's yawning, he is nodding, which means I do believe that he is in agreement.
I am in agreement. I mean, I was just talking in chat, but it's a couple of things that I would want to address, and I'm not saying it is or isn't, or that is even what is being talked about, but I do want to mention it's important. Yes, what Ben said, all people do need or should feel safe. It's not always our responsibility to make everybody feel safe, and it's not necessarily just about having a safe space. And I know that's not what the actual conversation was, but it reminded me to just bring that comment up of um, we're not looking for an easy space, just a space,
Mm-hmm.
just a space. It doesn't. It's safe, yes. Insofar as uh, they won't be judged, they will have an opportunity. Now, back to sacrificing babies. If you come to my safe space and you're sacrificing babies, it's not a safe space for that. You know what I mean? Not a safe space for that. But within the limits of the actual, discussion that we're having. And then, yeah, as far as, left hand path being a thing on YouTube, somebody had mentioned further up, I think it was Redcap. It is just like everything else has been. Wicca is everything that comes out on somewhere is going to have a boom of being the popular thing. Some people are going to stick with it, and we want them to stick with it because that's going to grow. Those that aren't going to stick with it aren't. But then there's going to be some specific individuals that are there to actually cause harm to that system, and that's where we get into trouble. That's where we have just being pagan itself. The reason there's still so much negative connotation of being pagan is because people don't understand it. Like I read today, that was part of the article I was trying to remember, Malice. I still can't find it, but one of the other comments that was made on there is that Wiccans are the good version of pagans. Pagans sacrifice animals and humans. What? Like that's written on somebody's page. Like what? And it's a high traffic page. It's stuff like that. That is what we have to look out for, and that's kind of like where we get into this whole
Yeah. And
it
that
is
will
what it
be
is. But
that will be another part of it. That will be another
yeah,
part of it, like pointing out places to watch out for. Right? Pointing out places and people that could be detrimental to your progress or someone's progress. And Slim, eventually there will be a website starting out at that point. So right now there's a Discord server. We do have a Gilded server, but nobody uses fucking Gilded. So I'm just kind of like at this point, just like I would love to use it, but it's just getting traction on Gilded is just impossible. You throw it out there, Mystic, if you want to.
I did, but you're right. It is not getting enough traction. I've already actually copied all my stuff out of it just in case.
Yeah, so I mean, I would think that maybe using it for internal use because it has the calendar and shit, would make sense. But like outside of that, like bringing people in, I don't know. Yeah, I got to remember to upload this stuff. I do have all the all the episodes, recorded and ready to upload. I just need to get to the time, do it. Country, let's see. Evangelical Christians are a lot in this country,
Mhm.
and in mostly political positions, keeping religion in politics. Hopefully,
Yep.
as it begins to die, that will finally be separate. Yeah, that would be great. Look, in the long run, one thing that I would love to have, 10 years from now, is an actual place, a physical brick and mortar location where students can come, pay a tuition like any other university, whatever, right? Nothing exorbitant or insane, and learn the path and arts of their choice from people that are vetted and dedicated practitioners. To have people like Scarlett Bales and Nate Bales as professors, Dice, essentially, man. Essentially. Yes. Essentially. Like a real life, actual. I mean, without the Quidditch matches and shit like that, I think somebody would kill themselves. Like you can't fly in a broom. Like somebody. Yeah, that's bad optics. Somebody grabs a broom and tries to jump off a cliff. No.
I've been talking about stuff like that for a couple of years. It's just nobody wants to be that open about it right now, or at least in the time 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's changing, which is nice.
But that's one thing that my like fucking dream would be to actually have a location where people can go and actually physically connect with other people that believe and practice the same thing and create lifelong partnerships and friendships, built around our beliefs. See, Scarlett's, got the idea.
Yeah, we were looking at like our UU church, the way it's built with a whole bunch of it's all outdoors because it's Florida. It's almost like a strip mall in a square with a central courtyard and classrooms all around it. And we go in there and we do classes on, different elements. We do classes on past life regression. We do past life regression. We do readings. We do all kinds of stuff and crafts and things in each of those classrooms. Um, and while I love it, it's very disjointed and not organized. And we still had some issues with the church being not very friendly to certain people, like satanic, um, and some other things.
See,
but we both would love that.
And this is the thing. This is the thing that I'm talking about. You notice how Scarlett kind of said that, her and Nate were already kind of looking into something like that. Just look at that. I just threw it out there. I didn't know that, Scarlett and Nate were interested in doing something of that nature. But that's three people right there with the same idea. The more people with the same idea, the easier it's going to be to build and create something like that. Yeah, Slim. No, that would be like, I mean, there would be a class maybe on it, but not practiced, right? Like
It's a theory class.
Yeah, theory class,
not a clinical.
Yeah, there you go. See, Mystic knows the difference. So the more people we have with the same idea, the easier it's going to be able to reach something like that. Could you imagine opening up the first school of the black arts?
Why they got to be black?
I'm left-hand path, but you could be magical arts, whatever.
Thank you.
Okay. Could you imagine? Because black's cool.
Is very cool. Black is very cool. But throw in some gray for me. Some charcoal.
So in this way, like my brain just begins, because I'm a teacher, right? That's my profession. That's what I do. I teach. and my brain just kind of goes like how to build the curriculum, and what to teach people and how to teach it and how to implement it and how to show people how to do things. Potions and hex work and cleanings and all of these types of things, right? Cleansings, all of these different types of things. To give people hands-on experience in something that is so important to them.
I think the real difference in my brain of what certain like Oberon, and I know never took any of those courses, but there is the School of Wizardry, and Become a Living God, obviously, that have done these kind of things. The difference is to me, the idea isn't to give somebody a path. It is to allow them to explore and experience their own path with some standardized things that will help them go along that way. That's the difference. We're not indoctrinating people. That wouldn't be the
Exactly.
goal. We're not giving them a dogma to chase.
Exactly.
I don't know why I said dogma to chase, because now I'm seeing a dog chasing his tail, but I guess that's the same thing. But
So
seriously, I mean, like that's the real difference. Like, and again, I don't care. The School of Black Magic, and call it whatever the hell you want. I'm teaching the class on rainbow, vomit, and unicorn shit. And I'm getting paid for that.
Yeah. Exactly. Like it would function like an actual school.
That's hilarious.
And yeah.
I don't want to teach anybody how to be Mystic Salon or Salon Natalwin, since nobody seems to know my actual magical name. At least the public one, right? That would not be fun for me. I don't want anybody to like be my own path. I would love to teach you things about my path, and then you'd be like, "Oh, that really works. Great, I'm going to do that." "Oh, that's really stupid. You look like an idiot not doing that." Okay, great. That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Pretty much. So that's the idea. That is something that I would love to actually accomplish. If I can do that before I draw my last breath, to be involved on the foundation of building that.
Yeah.
I can die happy. I can leave this world a happy person, knowing that I have implemented and created something that not only you here in this chat can use, but your children will be able to use. Call him Mr. Vader. So yeah, that's the idea, guys. But in order to make something like that function, the first thing is we need to learn to work together. That's the first step. Because if we can't learn to work together and stop cannibalizing each other and cannibalizing ourselves and gatekeeping and telling people that they're doing wrong or bullying people and shit like that, if we can't stop that part of it, then that dream, that idea is so far off.
True that.
Well, see, orders are different, though, Nikki. Orders are based on one path. Orders are based on, like, for example, the Order of Baphomet, the one that I founded. It's in the fucking name, the Order of Baphomet. You don't go into the Order of Baphomet to learn about Haman or Azazel or Belial or Baal. There's a separation between the two of them. You go into the Order of Baphomet because you want to be closer to Baphomet, right? That is a path working. A school is very different. A school opens the horizons. It shows various directions that you can go and how you can work in those various different directions and accumulate that knowledge and put them together. The order of no orders, pretty much.
There we go.
Yeah, but a chaos order would still be directed towards chaos magic, though. There's still that specific target. Like, you can go different directions with it, perhaps, but there's still that target on it. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but, you know, the idea here is to generally be open and learn and be able to connect with other people. So,
Yes.
yeah, essentially, sister. Yeah, essentially that's kind of like the idea. And again, I mean, Nikki, if it's something that doesn't appeal to you, then, you know, that's cool. You know, I've heard great things about your practice. You know, and you've obviously done very well without it, right? You know, and there's probably going to be many people that share that sentiment. You know, that they're not interested in going to a school in front of a professor to learn how to do these types of things, that they want to go on that journey on their own. They want to walk that path by themselves. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But to be able to have that option available to people, I think, you know, is a tremendous step forward, you know, for the community at large. You know, to build people to be confident in their practice and their beliefs, to not feel that they need to hide it. Because I hear a lot of people mention that, you know, occult is in the hidden. It's 2022. When did we feel that we really needed to be hidden? Back in what, 1822? 200 years ago? 300 years ago?
Uh-huh.
It's 2022. I think it's about time we kind of take the hidden out of the occult. You know, so that's just my idea. And I know there's going to be people that disagree with me, and there's going to be people that, you know, are going to not want something like this to happen. But what's the thing that's always said? You can't fight progress. Or you can't stop progress, rather. You can fight it. You just can't stop it. Yeah, exactly. Learn, not fear. And I would even love, inside of a school like that, to have classes for non-occultists to learn and understand the occult. Like, so let's say you get some parents that have their kid that's into the left-hand path, and they want to learn what's my kid getting into. To have some actual classes, you can bring the parents in or bring these people in that want to learn about it and sit them down and actually give them a crash course in what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
So the parents aren't reacting in fear of what their child is doing. The parent can be supportive of what their child is doing, so that child can feel supported in that. So I think that would be, you know, great. What path is your child interested in? Oh, the left-hand path, Wicca, whatever. And then sit them down, you know, for, I don't know, a 20, 30-hour course so they can learn about it and be appropriately supportive of their child on that. To be able to actually have a discussion with their child with knowledge in their head about what it's actually about, and not the propaganda that's thrown around by the media and by the church and all this shit about us being murderers and, you know, and a bunch of shit that I just don't want to go down the list of, you know.
Sacrificing babies.
Yeah, pretty much. I was kind of avoiding that one, but yeah, go for it. You know, so education is key, people. whatever your path might be, whoever you work with, deity, God, demon, whatever, entity, energy, educate. Don't block, don't placate, educate. Educate people. Talk to them about it. I don't care how many times, it's like my tattoos and my piercings and all of this stuff, anything I'm passionate about. It doesn't matter how many times somebody asks me in a day, like, before, pre-pandemic, how many times in a day somebody would turn around and ask me, what is that? Why do you wear this? What does that mean to you? That I will sit there, I will take time out of my day and I will sit there and I will explain it to them 13, 14, 15 times if need be until they have some level of understanding of what it is that I understand, of why it's important to me. They don't have to believe it, agree with it, but it would be nice to see them respect it. And the only way people respect anything is by understanding it. And the only way that they're going to understand it is if us, the practitioners of it, explain it to them. Instead of taking the opportunity when, that person in line with you at the store says, hey, what does your star mean? And taking that opportunity to be a fucking edgelord and say, oh, well, it means I sacrifice babies, dude. Like, you have done nothing to help the community. So, should also have therapeutic resources, yoga, and the opportunity to talk to family about the chosen path with therapists and other. Yes, I completely agree with that, Scarlett. Yes, 100%. Yes. See, that's progress. What in the hell are you doing? You showing your camera? You can't hear me. I have no idea what's going on. What was that? Oh, okay. I think we lost Mystic. I think his computer shit the bed. So now you get to see me 2 times. You get to see me on my main camera and you get to see me on my secondary camera. So we're just going to switch over to this really quick until Mystic kind of comes back. Lost all audio? Oh, damn. Okay, well, we'll wait for him to get back. I would become a certified yoga instructor and teach for free to help out. I was on the road to get certified while back. Anyways, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no clue what happened there. Just all of a sudden I lost all audio.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back. We missed
I'm
you.
gonna put it on my phone and hold it up, and that obviously didn't work.
Yeah, no, well, we missed you.
I'm so sorry, man.
Oh my God, interview yourself, right? So again, I wasn't sure where today was going to go. Like I said, we had hoped that, Scarlett was going to be able to join us, but she had a previous engagement, so she wasn't going to be able to. But we will have her on again soon to get in depth about, certain aspects of this, right? Because Scarlett definitely is, like, probably one of the more intelligent people that I've ever met inside of the occult community. And her, don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. Right? I said one of.
I agree, but I just...
one of.
Well, let's be honest. I was thinking about canceling tonight, but then I knew Scarlett was going to be on, so I didn't cancel. And then when Scarlett's not coming on, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll still do it. Just kidding. I was going to do it.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good, Scarlett. Like, well, you'll be back on. You'll be back on. Don't. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We're happy you're in the chat, right? We're happy to have you in the chat, and you're still providing, amazing points. In the chat there. So hopefully this is kind of like something that people can, you know. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you're gonna make me feel bad for calling you out now. So that's such a swell community. Golly gee, wow. All right, that
Thanks,
was
Scarlett.
Look, see, look, I'm not the only one that's jealous of your hair.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. This my well, Brooke and I both have the same barber, and he decided to close shop, and so we had to look for a new dude. And I think we'll go back. It was funny though when I showed him the picture of how I wanted my hair done. I was like, I kind of want this, and I said, yeah, that part's gonna need a little bit of plastic surgery, but the hair part, if you could do that, because they always have it on these like really hot models, you know. I'm like, look, I know you can't give me that jawline, but can you draw it with the hair right here, just a little bit, a little bit, and then a little draw right there. But yeah, no, thank you for the hair comments. I had my hair shaved for probably 20 years.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
And salt and pepper's always been there.
there you go. So anyway,
Good times.
that I think is going to conclude tonight's episode, guys. A bit of a cry away from the Q&A that I initially had anticipated that it was going to be, but I think it was productive. I think it was a very productive conversation. I think it was a very important conversation to have.
What have you manifested lately? This is something somebody used to say to me and Brad all the time. I just wanted to.
What have I manifested?
That's what should. Oh God, I don't even want to go there anymore. He's laughing.
Yeah. That's probably a good question, you know?
No, I was kidding. But okay.
So, anyway, so that is going to be it for this evening. All right, thank you guys for being here. Hopefully, this cleared up this idea of the community that we are trying to build and create and put together. I'm
laughing at Mel.
Mel.
Mel feels cheated.
Why Q&A? Darn it! I wanted to get you the secrets. Absurd. So
we should do an actual Q&A. Not tonight.
Yeah, no, not tonight. Yeah, so we'll definitely get into that in the next one. All right, so that's going to be it. We will see you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Peace out, guys. Bye.